I'm Vanessa Louise. Welcome to Choose You, Choose Bliss, where we believe in one goal, one purpose, love. Through shared experiences, we aim to enlighten, enrich, and enroll you in actively applying the tools and techniques to enable and continue healing for your whole self. Now is the time to take back our power, reconnect with our true selves, each other, including the world around us, and live life with confidence, purpose, and joy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing you. As ever, it's an absolute blessing to be sharing space with you all today. And today we're talking about transformation. But this is no ordinary transformation, extraordinary by nature. It's a truly unique story. So let's delve straight in and get naked with the truly beautiful Sarah Jepson. How are you today, my lovely?
I'm wonderful. The sun's shining. I get to see your glorious face, and I'm just really excited to be here. A little nervous as well, but that's good energy, I think. It's always
Absolutely.
bit of adrenaline shot.
We can work with that for sure. I just have got so much admiration for you and everything you've lived through, how you show up in the world. And we've known each other a little while, but I felt truly drawn to you, being a kindred spirit. And I came up to you after I heard you speak and share only a little bit. This is how powerful it was, a little bit about your story. And we've been in conversation ever since. And it is an absolute honor to ask you to come here and share your story with us here on this podcast. So if I may, I'm going to begin with one question, because I know this will be a great segue and will lead in to a beautiful exchange with you. So what is your life's greatest lesson, or the learning that life has taught you?
Wow, you go in with a sucker punch, don't you? There's no gentle intros here. No way. Honestly, Vanessa, the thing that I have learned over the past, I would say, decade, but more recently, is a remembering of self, and that I have and always have had everything I've ever needed to flourish, thrive, evolve, teach, learn, grow, and all of those many other words that spring to mind, that everything I've ever needed to feel love, joy, heal, and help others has always been in me. And I think that has been one of the single most beautiful discoveries, or as I've said, the remembering. So much for so many years had been layered on top of who I am today because of life's curveballs, pivots, plot twists, traumas, complexities. That she was hidden for so very long from a child. And what has been the most gorgeous experience has been, I guess, like a shoot coming out of the ground. Maybe there was things covering me, and now I'm free of those things. And almost like I've got stronger and stronger, the more connected to who I am and my values. And now I'm living a life so connected to purpose. I feel unstoppable, unshakable, and just, even in my darkest days, I still feel incredibly light. And I feel that, it's the remembering of the starseed I was always here to be.
Yeah, I love that. And it just, as you speak, the language and the vocabulary that you use, the adjectives that you are using, you can't just spout those out, right? They come from an experience having experienced viscerally what you've had, because there is lots of language around the transformation arena, right? And we can all use words to explain what we believe transformation is. But I think what I love most about what you share is the place it comes from. And I love that. You said even on your toughest days, you still feel light, because that is who you truly are. That's who we truly are. It's innate. And again, I loved what you said about that. It was layered on top of. And those layers are built for protection in our early years, aren't they? But because your now life and your experience and what you share and how you show up is so powerful because of that light and that learning, for me, that must have been because of being in a very dark place. So for me, the absolute opposite.
Sure.
So the brighter you are, it's because it was really dark, right?
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think that's the battle that we have as human beings, is we stay small and we stay, and that's why I love that Marianne Williamson quote. And I need to learn it verbatim, but who are we to be small and to shrink away? We're born to shine. So talk to us a little bit, because we'll get, that's almost, you've started at well, I was going to say the end, it's not the end, but where you are now. Just take us back, if you can, just a little bit as to where that dark place began, and clearly grew into being darker for you then to go through some transformation that's off the scale.
So the darkness, really started as a child. And I think it's only been the latter years that I've come to realize that I have lived my entire life, or up until very recently, in a domestic abuse household. And I've shared with you before, I experienced sexual abuse as a child and also lived in a domestic abuse household, which was toxic. There was a lot of aggression. There was a lot of just not love. It was what I never felt I was in a safe space.
Yeah.
And, without sounding like too much of a cliche, when you've grown up in a household that echoes all of that toxicity, of course, I went into, once I became like an adult, it's such a weird, bloody phrase to use. Like, once you turn 18, you are so vulnerable because you are given so much freedom. And mine was going to university. And then I just went into self-destruct and numbing, and had suicidal contemplations, binge drinking. It was literally like sugar, bulimia, anorexia, sleeping with so many different people. Everything was a numb myself, create chaos. I'm comfortable in chaos. I'm more comfortable in pain than I am in feeling free. Push people away that would be kind to me or show me love, because I just rejected it, because I didn't know how to love myself, because I hadn't been shown it. So my life was very, binge drinking, and I'm talking blackouts, like cannot remember what I've done, who I was with, what time I got home. I'd start drinking before going out. It was one of those, remember Bacardi breezes?
Yeah.
Anyone with me?
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Back
that
in the
era.
day. Yeah, that
Yeah.
era.
Absolutely. Hooch.
I,
Yeah.
exactly. I'd have like 4 or 5 before even leaving the house. And it was, now I look back, everything was self-loathing. My sugar addiction, my binge eating was a rejection of self, was a hiding of self, was never me nurturing. And I hid this behind, again, going back to exposing my age, the ladette culture. I hid behind, that was, hey, women were drinking pints, and that was like, that was
Super
new.
cool. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And so I lent into being this loud extrovert, dancing on the tables, getting the shots, party girl. And that stayed with me throughout my career. And when I launched my own company, I was always that outgoing, outspoken, first at the party, last to
Yeah.
leave type of person. And
So,
yeah,
so what were you numbing in on reflection? Because obviously we're not necessarily so aware of it at the time. It's really only on reflection. I mean, we might know that our behavior is destructive, and we go, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be saying this, or and the should, like when we're younger. But only on reflection, I look back and I go, actually, I wasn't aware.
I
I
wanted
followed suit or whatever, but
I wanted to escape reality
right. And why? Why? What were you
because the
escaping?
pain
Yeah.
and the recognition of what I had lived through was too painful. So I wanted to do everything and anything to suppress.
Mm.
I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to remember. I didn't want to acknowledge.
No.
So it was to reject all parts of self. And to reject all parts of self was if I'm drinking, I can't be thinking and feeling. If I'm eating, I can't be thinking and feeling. If I'm being sick, I'm concentrating on that. If I'm XYZ, it was all a hiding, a running away from, because if you create stillness, thoughts can come,
Absolutely.
feelings can erupt. So this was an absolute obsession with not thinking, of
Yeah.
not being conscious, of not remembering, of not wanting to even acknowledge what I had been through as a young girl, what I'd lived through, what I'd survived, the abandonment that I felt on several layers, both from, my own family. So it was a case of, here's your two options, Sarah. You either sit in it, you meet it, or you turn your back and you run as far away. And I was running. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And
Turn
like
away
you say,
from, yeah, rather
yeah,
than
like
to.
screw that. I
Yeah.
don't want to meet her. I don't
Yeah.
want to hold that 12-year-old girl. I
Yeah.
didn't have the skills. I did not have the skills. I did not have the maturity.
I think that's the biggest problem is we don't know how. We might know that what we're doing is not healthy or destructive.
I'm not even sure that I did, Vanessa, because you also have to remember the context of I'm 46. So it's 30 odd years ago. So things like this, podcasts like this didn't exist.
Mm,
Therapy was an alien concept.
mm,
It was, people didn't talk about their problems. It was
no.
seen as weakness. Don't make a fuss. It's a very British way of things. I remember us ridiculing Americans because, oh, they're all in therapy.
Yeah, yeah, like
You
that was
know,
like, oh my God,
it
there's
was
something wrong with them. Yeah,
exactly, why do they need to talk about everything?
yeah. But even
And
if, but I suppose where I was coming from with that is similar to you. I was running away from something, whether I knew what that was, but I knew something didn't feel right. That's all I was aware of when I was younger. Something didn't feel right, but I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the wherewithal. I didn't understand there was something I could do about it. Like you spoke, the top one of your greatest learnings was recognizing, and that it's just a remembering that it's always been there. But that's the piece I'm speaking to is like I didn't know what I was doing that was unhelpful, but I knew something was like wrong or didn't feel
yeah,
right. That was the extent of it. But did you get to the point where not even that was like you were really that numb that that wasn't even part of your contemplation at all?
I think again, it was tricky. I didn't have people around me that had been through similar things. So when you don't have any other reference points or you don't have anyone else around you that's on a healing journey or talking about trauma, you become very trapped. And if the only tools you have are drinking, eating, sex, or now it's self-harming, and I see all of the things that I've just described as a form of self-harm.
Yeah.
Even in past uni years, I was addicted to work, addicted to my career. So it was evenings, weekends. It's just addiction, addiction, addiction. It was any way to numb, any way to ignore. Yes, obviously, I think not. It's not obvious. I there was probably a micro acknowledgement that not even micro. Obviously, your body holds the score, right? My body will have known I was not okay.
Yeah.
But I think there's for most people, there's a turning point, there's a breaking point, there's something that happens that makes you go, okay, this isn't serving me to
Mm.
continue. There are other choices. I have to believe there are other choices, and there's a way of climbing out of this shitstorm that I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a part of us, and I just remember back to my experiences, and I wonder if this is true for you. There is a part of us that is constantly trying to communicate with me, and that's what I was numbing out because trying to stay busy or I love what you said, create the chaos
Oh,
because
I was addicted. If the
yeah,
I would create even post domestic abuse marriage. Yes, I made some mistakes and not mistakes, but patterning went into other abusive relationships. But I would be creating my own drama too. Trust me. I was, as I shared in my talk, the horrible acknowledgement of when you have to go, I'm part of the problem. I'm
absolutely.
part of
Oh,
the problem. I'm repeating. I can't blame it on my ex-husband anymore because he's not part of this. It's me. I am part of the problem. But the most gorgeous moment is when you go, hang on, if I'm part of the problem, I'm also part of the freaking solution. And that is
absolutely.
so empowering when
Yeah.
you flip that switch into I can control, I can influence a different way of being and living, operating, feeling.
Mm.
It's it's a joyful and equally scary moment because the
Mm.
acknowledgement of, oh, now this is when the work really starts.
Yeah, but also that you're in control of it because it's
Yeah.
the whole kind of why does this keep happening? When we're in that pain point, it's the why does this keep happening? And like you're saying, the problem is dot dot dot. And then once we recognize, like you said, that you are part of the problem,
Oh.
that's the admission I think that a lot of us don't want to make. But as you said, when you do, you recognize that actually you've just instantly empowered yourself
Oh, it's
because
so
if you take,
easy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's easy to blame everyone else, right? We're all
absolutely.
comfortable. And I spent many years in that arena,
Yeah.
blaming others. And like, you've so brilliantly said, it's utterly empowering. But there's also a nervousness around that because when, the first step is to even have the awareness. That's ace. Brilliant. Well
Yeah.
done. The second step, and that's hard. That's really hard to have that. The second step is then, well, what are you going to do about it? And then how are you going to
Yeah.
go about it?
And that's the bit I think that we struggle with because you can say you can have the awareness that hold on a minute, this is unlovely, as I like to call it, it's under the umbrella. Because if you've gone from, did you say your childhood was toxic and
Yes.
chaotic? Then
Yes.
you got into a marriage
Yeah.
that was toxic and abusive,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And you had children in that marriage.
I did. Yeah.
Wow. And if I remember rightly from your story, didn't you flee?
Pretty much. So I hatched my own escape plan, which
Wow.
probably sounds a little messed up, cunning, or bizarre, I'm sure, to some people. But for me, it was like a kind of unconscious but conscious thing that I was doing. So the recognition for me was so when I left, it was a 5 and 2 year old. But on maternity leave, I knew I needed an escape route and an escape plan. And quite quickly I knew the only way, like when I made the decision when I was leaving, that was it. I wasn't going back for good.
Yeah.
Now, just to give context, prior to this, prior to the children, I had left many, many, many times and returned. But I knew there was something in me with the children that was like, it needs to be that I go and I stay away.
Okay.
And for me, I knew that the biggest opportunity stroke barrier was finances. That's what traps so many women. They're not able to get financially liberated. They can't stand on their own 2 feet for a variety of reasons. So for me, I made the brave or whatever decision on maternity leave to start my own company because I knew if I was in control, I'd be able to earn what I needed to earn. And I'd mapped out that within 2 years, I should be able to leave.
Okay. Wow.
And that's what I did. And I grew the agency. And let me tell you, no one works as hard when you have a motivation like I had to escape and save not only myself, but my children. So within 2 years, I had figured out how much I needed to earn so that I would not be vulnerable, how much I needed to save for a deposit on a rented house. And I found that secretly and almost got away with the whole thing until the very last second. But I did manage to get what I was deeming my safe house. And I left with pretty much one item of furniture, and that was it. I didn't take anything else, and I did all of that because I didn't want to create. I guess the acknowledgement, Vanessa, was I knew statistically, and I knew from my own freaking body telling me that was the most frightening, vulnerable, and scary time is when you're leaving. So I would do anything, like keep the house. I don't want the house, even though it was our joint mortgage. Like, you have the house, I'll sign over the house, I'll do whatever you freaking want. I just need to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I managed to do. And I managed to get out. But I knew the financial independence was the key to open that door. And I managed it.
Well, congratulations, and you are an absolute inspiration, because you're right. I've worked with domestic abuse charities before, and that's one of the biggest struggles, is the fact that financially they're being financially controlled, or they're not able to look after themselves. They can't escape, so they stay strapped. They stay trapped. But that was not the end of it, because you've then got to go through becoming the person that you wanted to be. And even though you might have taken yourself out of a situation that was unhealthy, toxic, limiting, controlling, you've then now got to begin again.
Absolutely.
With 2 small children, keep the business going. Talk to us about where you were there and what you learned, and how you were able to thrive and evolve and flourish, like you spoke about at the top.
I think that, again, this might sound a bit effed up, but I think what I experienced as a 12-year-old girl, and the level of independence and the absolute stripping of everything I'd ever known, created a hugely resilient woman, person.
Did you know that beforehand, or you recognized that
I
then?
recognized,
Yeah.
and even in the abuse, I was able to, I think when you've lived through domestic abuse childhood, you become very adept at reading people's energy, situations, and how to keep yourself safe. So in my marriage, I knew vulnerable times were when he was drinking and out of control. So then I wouldn't drink. So I would respond and adapt, respond and adapt, respond and adapt, to keep myself in a position of strength, or being agile.
Yeah.
So I think there were so many skills, like you rightly said, I guess in a way I hadn't realized I'd collected, like these badges all over my bloody body,
Yeah.
in my head,
Yes.
of resilience. I'd earned so many stripes already, from the 12-year-old girl to the 18-year-old to the 21-year-old to the 27 to the 30-year-old that left. I'd already collected so much resilience. And I think in my darkest moments, I always knew and had, even as a kid, I'd been a manifester, a visualizer, always use visualization. And I just had this like unshakable, even if it was an ember, even if it wasn't yet a roaring fire, I feel like I'm at almost Inferno stage in my life at the moment, because of the amount of love I've poured into myself and have received, and all of the light that I have. I had an ember, even through all of that this was not my definitive story.
Got you. Yeah. I relate to that.
That I was made for more, or there was something coming that was different for me. And I've held that my entire life. And even at times when I might forget it, it's still there, and I can reconnect to it. So rebuilding for me has been, it was incredibly traumatic, scary, but I think it was also, it's like those scales, isn't it? It was traumatic and scary, but then was equally liberating and exciting to be able to choose what I wanted to wear without having someone question what I'm wearing, who am I wearing it for, all of those things
Mm,
down to, am I going out? Who am I seeing? It was just all of it, like the freedom that came in my head to, but it was almost like, well, who am I? What do I like? Because I've been dictated
brilliant.
to for so long.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is exciting. Even
Yeah.
down to like, I can choose a bed that I like.
Mm,
I can
mm.
choose, you
Even
know what I mean? It
yeah,
sounds
the
really
bedding and what you want to eat and
create the home, create the lifestyle, create
mm,
the, it's not even creating a persona, but it's like, who am I? I get to choose
yeah, it,
who,
almost like that. What comes up as you say that is you began to remember
yes. And I think I
actually
use
that
that,
it is your
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Yeah, as you said
It's
that at the top, this is about a remembering of self. You'd lost yourself. You'd your
my
life had been.
identity. My identity had been from a 12-year-old girl when I was touched the way that I was and by the person that I was, my life became all about trauma
Mm, survival.
and
Yeah.
survival and making it through and all of the coping mechanisms. And so I guess the unraveling or whatever expression started the moment the key went into my safe house, my begin again home.
Mm,
And it took an incredible amount of resilience because what I think people, or I certainly have met with these comments before, is, oh, God, that must have been like, yay, you've done it. That was half the battle.
mm,
I think what people don't appreciate is how depleted you are and the strength it takes to leave.
yeah.
And then you have to fathom, I've
Now what
still
to
got
do? Yeah.
so much of that path to
Mm,
walk.
mm,
And
mm,
now I have to do it, and I'm already so depleted. My mental health has been so eroded.
mm,
Yet, with that, I guess the resilient part of me was like, just keep one step in front of the other, keep going. You're going to come across a roadblock. You've dealt with these before. You remember, you've got it, you've got
mm.
it, you've got it, you've got it.
Yeah, love that. So just reminding yourself the whole time, chanting to yourself, affirming, just and because the interesting thing that and the image I had as you have been talking, it's almost like when you left, yes, that's a relief and you're beginning again, but you're learning as you remember who you are, you're learning how to be different, like
Mhm.
how to be who you truly are. And you have no choice but to take small steps. And I
Absolutely.
think that's where the magic is the small steps here, the small steps now here, the small steps now here. We want lightning bolts and we want the whole, no, but nobody really wants to be struck by lightning, if we're honest,
Yeah.
right? We want the fix now. That's it, done, done. But it's not like that. And because of the situation you were in, the only choice you had was to make the choice in this moment to walk out the front door, leave. Then in this moment, what now? Then in this moment, what now? And then those baby steps are where it sounds like you recognized your resilience, gained your confidence, learned more about actually who am I when you've lost your identity and your light's been kind of snuffed out.
Yeah.
That that I think for me is the encouraging part that reminds us all that the baby steps in each moment are what it's all about. We try so hard, don't we, to shift into the place, but you can't overstep the minutia
No, absolutely.
and live it and experience it and be aware of what's going on. But sounds like where you had numbed and ran away from and tried to avoid the pain. And I love what you said earlier, something like, I didn't want to be her again. I didn't want to be her. I was doing everything to run away from her. Sounds like you turned
She
in
had
to get
there
yourself.
was there was so much shame. I was ashamed that that person touched me, that it
Yeah.
was his hands were the first.
Yeah.
touch my body, and I didn't love her. Was rejecting her
Mm.
because there was so much shame and I felt dirty. And, my ex-husband labeled me that way. I was tarnished goods. I was damaged goods. Who's going to want a woman like you that's had that done to her? And, so it was, again, that was like that, those layers being put, that mud, that dirt being thrown on top of me. And it was like I had to take off. By every grain of mud had to
Mm.
be lovingly taken off,
Mm.
not, like you say, brushed off quickly.
Mm.
I had to lovingly take every grain of mud off me, look at the mud, hold the mud,
Mm.
love the mud.
Mm.
Okay, your time is done. Let's meet that part of self. And it's not even a moving on. It's an evolution of. and
Yeah.
and it really became that for me. It became about choices, about I talk a lot about consciousness,
Mm.
conscious living, conscious parenting.
Mm.
And it became a consciousness around my life of I can either continue as I am, of binge drinking, processed food, oh my goodness, like doing 100 burpees in a row till I was almost vomiting, like doing all of these things that, and all these badges I thought were brilliant of, oh, I don't rest, resting's for weak people, and
Yeah.
productivity. I was just active all of the time. If it wasn't fitness, it was work. It was, I was employing more people as I was launching in another country. It was all about success, or this masculine version of success. And then it was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm exhausted. And what if I created a place and a space where I gave up alcohol? I'm 2.5 years in. I thought it
Amazing.
would be the hardest thing to do in my life because so much of my identity had been around party girl. I had a marketing agency, I have an events company. It was all about being social and fun, and it has been the easiest habit I've ever changed.
Wow. And why that's profound. And I love that because there is an awful lot of this particular conversation in our circle at the moment. Just generally your particular circle and how we met, but also just generally in the wider arena of well-being. There is an awful lot of alcohol free.
It was taking away more than it was giving me.
Love that.
And being midlife, I hadn't appreciated that alcohol in women actually starts to digest, or whatever the expression is, it starts to affect us differently.
Yeah.
And I'd gone from fun girl Sarah to scary Sarah.
Wow.
It was unpredictable with alcohol,
Yes.
which I
Brilliant.
had
Love that.
never experienced before. Volatile. And bearing in mind, I had been striving, and like we spoke about those steps, to create a safe, loving, nurturing home for me and my children. I then became someone, and this is literally goes down in history in this house. I lost my shit over a game of extreme Uno. I'm talking rage. And
Mm.
seeing my children's face,
Yeah.
they literally looked back at me, and it was on the 21st of December. We just stocked the cupboards with champagne, Disaronno, other brands were available, all of
Mm.
that stuff, the good stuff. And I woke up on the 22nd and I looked at Dean and I said, I'm done. I'm not drinking. And I don't know, I haven't spoken to him about this, but I don't know whether he was like, okay, sir. And I said, just a month. I'm just going to do a month. And then it turned into, well, that was easy. And
Especially over Christmas.
I prefer me over, like, I was like, I actually prefer me.
Mm.
I feel more energized. My anxiety has definitely like dissipated. And honestly, it just felt so liberating. Again, the patterns, the stories we tell ourselves around oh, I need alcohol to have a good time. I need alcohol to celebrate. I need alcohol to relax. Oh, I've won a
Mm,
client. I need to celebrate. Let's have a bottle of
absolutely.
champagne. All of these social situations and ways that we do things, even, but what was so illuminating once I stopped drinking was how prevalent it is in society. You go
Mm,
to a hotel, that, you know, some hotels will offer you a drink on arrival, a bottle of champagne in your room. And I was like, wow, it's
yeah,
everywhere.
everywhere.
You commiserate, it's a drink. You meet up with a friend, bottle of wine, you know. But I tell you what was one of the most interesting things. I had told myself that people will be really inquisitive, people will make fun of me, people will find this peculiar. No one gave a stuff. In fact, what it did create was so many more conversations and curiosity, and how many people in my sphere, my peers, my network, my community had also been considering becoming alcohol
Yeah.
free, or really lessening.
Mm.
And they were more like, oh my God, tell me, how have you done it? Did you, if you're going on a night out, did you tell your girlfriends first? And I'm like, there's only one occasion I did that. It was a university reunion. And I just said, look, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And all of them were like, brilliant. We fully support you.
Amazing.
All of these stories I had almost concocted in my head of being an issue, they weren't there.
Wow.
And I
And
think it's like most things, once you've done it once, it becomes
mm,
really freaking easy, right? And
yeah,
I've been to festivals, weddings, the lot, all of it. And not once have I even wavered or wanted a drink, because I'm so connected to, I live a conscious life, and alcohol does not feature in my ability to live consciously, awakened, fully. Alcohol is a number, is a robber of full experience. Think of how many concerts I've been to. This is me, right? Blottoed, can't remember them. I now go to things and I'm like, I can remember
yeah,
everything. It's
yeah.
like I now have, with all of the other things that I've changed in my life. I describe it as I now have 20/20 vision.
Love it.
Before this, I couldn't see properly. It was murky. Now I'm feeling, experiencing life in full fucking technicolor.
Brilliant. I love that because it's that conscious living, that choice that you made to live consciously takes work.
Mhm.
And often it's the tools that we don't have. And once we start creating a new plan for ourselves, or recognizing the plan that was already innate within us and the steps we are meant to be taking, designed to be taking, you start taking those, anything new is scary, right?
It's scary, but it's freaking liberating, because
Exactly.
once you take that step, and something like giving up alcohol, which was major, once I did that, I was like, oh, okay, so I've done something that I thought would be impossible.
Mm,
It isn't impossible. It's very freaking possible.
mm.
It's easier, more manageable and achievable, and the benefits have been incredible. So if I can do that, what next?
Well,
Like,
I think that,
what
yeah.
next am I changing?
Love that. But it takes an understanding of what you actually want to experience. So
Yes.
understanding your values, your value is in who you truly are. But what does that look like? What's your experience? What does that feel like? And understanding that it's a conscious choice to be clear on what do you want to experience? What do you want to feel? Because there is so much of a reminder in our outside world that limiting, controlling, programming, you've got a problem, so you need to buy this, da da da. There's all of that out there. There is so much more of that than there is this inner transformation and the beautiful conscious living that you speak of available for us. But when you look for it, you will find it, whether that's positive or negative, right? But I think one of my learnings in life is when I have conversations with people, not so much now, but early on, I don't think we realize that that power is within us. It's beating our hearts. And
Absolutely.
we spend our whole lives, as you said, numbing that, running away from it, covering it over. And then we go, well, what do you mean there's no, blah, 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 because you just like snuffed it out, right? Through the choices we make, but also the choices we've allowed others to make for us. So it's not just, we do live on a planet with other people. But as you start to appreciate that is within you, and you begin to inquire and ask different questions, not limiting questions like poor me, why me, but how can I, whether it's be happy, how can I make choices for myself? What is it that I really want to experience in life? And you begin leaning into that, more of that opens up. And that's how, in my experience, it works. But we don't know that. So therefore, that's why we're stuck in the old way of thinking and feeling about life. And
Oh,
it's
it's
just,
absolutely. And and I will get this on a t-shirt one day, Vanessa. I always say, if you don't like the freaking cake, you have to change the ingredients, right? You cannot keep
absolutely.
moaning about, like, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yes, yes.
So,
I've got a t-shirt with that on.
and yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
my cake one's a bit
yeah,
work. I get it. I need
yeah.
to work on that.
I love it. No,
But
but you're right. If you don't like what you're experiencing, then make a different choice.
yeah, exactly. And
I either move away from it and choose what you do. But I think my point is, and a lot of conversations I have, yeah, but that is what I want. But, well, okay, but give yourself the opportunity to really recognize what you do want to experience, what makes you feel good, what lights you up, what brings you joy. And you want to work out where you go in life and what you're meant to be gifting to this world, which is just ourselves, by the way, but as a vocation or a way to contribute and serve the world. Somebody said to me, do you want to show up to be the best in the world or the best for the world? And I love that. Because there's so many, there's again so much competition around, you want to be the best this in the world, you want to be the best partner, the best coach, the best this. No, I actually don't want to be the best. That being the best is not a thing. I recognize that that was my story, because I need to be the best at stuff so that you like me, because that was my learning at school. Or I've got to be seen to be lovely so that you love me. Right? No, that's so bloody tiring. But I don't want to be the best, but I just want to be my best self for this world, for the people in my life. But I,
absolutely.
knowing that, and one of my questions when I left, we woke up one morning and never went home, was actually, who am I? Actually, who am I? I didn't have a clue as to who I was. So learning to get back in touch with myself, and did I, love yourself again? No, just love yourself full stop. Like, but how do people do that? Can you just share with us though a little bit? Because I think this is one of the obstacles. Do you come across this? Because your life now has developed into something really beautiful because of your experiences. How do you choose you? How do you show up for yourself each day? Because you know that that is the first choice, so that you can bring your best self to this world, and to the work, your profound work that you do with other people. How do you choose yourself? Because it's a consistent choice, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think the expression I'm going back to is it's consciousness
Mm,
of self, of being able to listen
mm,
to my body, to my nervous system, and I've only been able to do that when I have changed all of the things that I've changed, which is the busyness, the seeking adrenaline, the dopamine, the fucking hits on
mm,
social media, on the dopamine hit that alcohol would give me, all of that stuff.
mm,
The more I have been able to listen to what I need, and it's always a work in progress. I don't get it right every day,
mm,
but I certainly now, having experienced this way of living with Reiki, rituals,
mm,
mindfulness, getting myself grounded, or learning the things that work for me. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own ways of creating stillness and calm and listening to their bodies and minds and things. But for me, it is an absolute consciousness.
mm,
It's how I now start my day. I have basically ripped up a calendar, a working day.
mm.
It doesn't really exist for me other than if I have particular meetings in. So some days I will only start work when my nervous system and body and head feels
I love that.
ready.
Well done, you.
Not always.
Yeah.
Like I have to be, yeah, that's this. I don't want this to sound like that's how I live every day. I don't do that every day. But what I have appreciated and learned by doing the work in inverted commas, by doing the things, the practices, the tools, the techniques that work for me and serve me, how much more love I can feel, how
Mm,
much more love, joy, and expression I can give to the world, to my family, to the people that mean a lot to me, to my community. The more I nurture, the more I listen, the more I love myself, the more I am able to give
mm,
and receive,
yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
has been.
So
And
glad you said that. Yeah.
and so for me, typically what that can look like is this morning I go for a walk for an hour and a half. Some days, and then I'll come down and I'll do begin Reiki. I drink lots of hot water, and it's all about all these little signals I give myself throughout the day. I choose a card. I'll
Mm,
start my day, and then it might be something in the day. Might okay, hang on, what's wrong with like not what's wrong? I'm noticing. I'm noticing my nervous system. Okay, what's happening for me? And it may well be that I'm like, okay, I need more Reiki, or I need to go and walk in the garden with no shoes on, or I'm just having one of those days, man, and that's okay.
yeah.
You know,
I
and
love
it's just,
that. Yeah. Love that.
I'm just having one of those days, and
Yeah.
let's be cool with that, and just remember it's temporary. Or sometimes I might even, and I think it's a really impactful exercise for people to do, to understand sometimes why we might be, the fire might be burning freaking hot inside of us and our nervous system, is sometimes I will write down on A4 pieces of paper what I'm juggling, managing. That could be from an emotional point of view, a work point of view,
Mm,
conflicts, turmoil, intrusive thoughts, whatever it is. And I will fucking litter it on the floor, and I will
mm.
stand in the center and I will look at it and I'll go, now that makes sense why I'm feeling the way I am. And
I love that. Absolutely. So, like a slightly more abstract version of journaling, like
Yes,
rather
but
than just on
seeing it
one
on the
page.
floor,
Love
seeing
that.
and you standing in the middle and going, that makes sense. No wonder
Yeah.
I need to bloody hold myself today.
Yeah. So it's
Or
the
no,
acknowledgement
you
of
see it,
what's
yeah,
aggravating you. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and it's a really brilliant visual way of also you patting yourself on the back and going, bloody hell, no wonder you feel
Mm,
depleted. Look,
mm,
anyone that was dealing with just one of those things would be
mm.
feeling knackered. You're juggling seven,
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Do you know?
or so I think just things like that of self-compassion has probably been one of mine, is still one of the things I am solidly working on. I have been my best advocate and my worst enemy in the same freaking day,
Yeah.
because no one can trash talk me like
Mm.
I can trash talk myself
Oh, get it.
sometimes, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And one of the biggest appreciations and learning with spirituality and Reiki and meditation has been the self-compassion that I can hold for myself now, that
Mm.
I could never have done 5 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
7 years ago, 10 years ago.
Mm.
And what's been so brilliant is when my daughter's like, oh, mummy, it's okay. If I haven't handled a situation at home, and I'm like, you know what? I'm cool. There's no guilt here. There's no shame here. Not
Yeah.
in I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm okay. It's okay for me to have reacted like that because I'm human and
Yeah.
I love all of me,
Mm.
even the bad bits. Not every day. Again, I want to like give some absolute honesty here.
It's still a process.
It's a process,
Yeah.
but I am much kinder. And the upside of that, again, going back to what I've just said, the more I'm able to offer myself and self-soothe and give myself compassion, the more I can fucking give it to everybody else.
Absolutely. And that leads me beautifully. And just share with us a little bit about your work, because giving your best self to your community is,
Sure.
yeah, it's just what you're doing with 6 degrees. Just
And
talk to us a little bit about like how that came about.
so the community really was born out of something I was missing.
Mm,
I had, as you know, left an abusive marriage, no family around me, and no family that at the time I would call upon because of various reasons. It was very fragmented. I had no community. I was forging my own company, and I was doing it without a freaking instruction manual, like so many, and for not all of us are, right?
Mm.
And I knew I had to go networking, and I needed to build rapport with people. I didn't know anyone. I wasn't from the area. And I just found it, whilst don't get me wrong, it really helped build my business because I was an extrovert and good at those things. I always came back going like, oh, is that really it? Is there like, I want to build deeper connections with people. It all feels very kind of surface level, and where are all the freaking women at? And if they are here, they are operating in a heightened masculine fashion, as was I. FYI, I was definitely masking for sure. And so I created what was initially champagne and champagne and pizza. I did champagne and pizza because I was like, I want to keep it real. I like nice things, but I fucking want to keep it basic as well. So we're going to do pizza and champagne. And it kind of grew. I met incredible women. They were attracted to what I did. But what I started to do was discover women with freaking awesome stories, who I would speak to them and they would go, oh, I'm not impressive. I'm not inspiring. I'm not this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Please come and speak. Please be a speaker at an event. I will host an event specifically for you because you are phenomenal. And that's kind of how it built. It grew from intuition. And again, that was kind of alien for me because when you're building a business, it's supposed to be about profits and this and that. And I was having to dial up my feminine energy and basically create what I was missing in my life, which was a community that met all of you and allowed all of you, the good, the not so good, the dreams that have been crushed, the dreams that are yet to be born. And then I just created, I'd say then, an online platform, and I put masterclasses in there from real women, talking through their inspirational stories through to training material. And it's been all about, I guess it's a dream and growth arena really for women to collectively come together. We have Friday mornings, which is like a Friday circle where you come and you celebrate something you're really proud of in the week. Some weeks it's, I got through the week. And other weeks it's like, oh my God, I've written the first chapter of my book.
Yeah.
And then we troubleshoot together. So it's very peer-led. Yes, I am the guide of that, but it is very much, hey, your opinion's as valid as mine. This isn't a Sarah show. This is the community co-create this. We have masterclasses, live workshops, a community where they can message each other. And then we also have 4 locations for in-person events because I'm a huge believer in that's real magic.
Eyeball to eyeball. Yeah.
We bring so much magic online. And I had a discussion with someone today that was like, oh, how can you do that? And I'm like, please come to a 6 Degrees online session. You'll understand how we do it.
Yeah.
But in person, it's just so beautiful, like eyeball to eyeball, energy to energy. And it's just my absolute pleasure to be curating this space because so much of my past is being used now to create what I'm creating, a safe space for women to truly be themselves, to be vulnerable. And honestly, it's like alchemy. Watching the transformation of these women is, other than my children and my relationship and my stepkids, I think is the single biggest rewarding thing I've ever experienced in my life.
So I love that. Is it fair to say then that maybe the whole part of your divine plan was through your pain was to remember that this is what you were here to create?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
And I feel it every day. I feel it every day. And what the biggest kind of development for me has been trusting myself and that all of the things that I have experienced are here to serve others in some way, shape, or form. And even recently, I had 3 months off for burnout. And even that was, and I remember my Reiki practitioner, healer, saying to me, and I was like, ouch, when she delivered this sentence of, I guarantee you will view this as the gift of burnout. And I was in the the bottom of the barrel with that. That was the hardest moment she said that to me, and I was like, that hurt, but I equally truly believe that it will be. So each of these lived experience are allowing me more compassion, more empathy, more ability to offer an enriched tapestry of content, of immersive experience for women. Because
Exactly.
the more I live, the more I can think, oh my goodness, if I'm experiencing this, I bet there's thousands of
Yeah.
other women that are.
Yeah. And what's one of the most powerful things when you've gone through something, when you've lived through an experience, and you are then in a place to be able to share that, and that vulnerability is a real thing for deep connection. I think it's one of the main ingredients for deep connection, not just with self but with others. When you're able to share that with other people, one of the most inspiring, liberating, powerful things is when someone else can say, oh my god, me too.
Oh,
Because even though the stories might be different, the
absolutely.
thing underneath is always the same. It's
And
always the same.
And I would say, if you were to ask me, like, what's one of my superpowers, is vulnerability. But I've had to learn, I've had to remember that,
Yeah.
because so much, like I've said before, my life has been shrouded in shame, in don't talk about it. Why are you still talking about the sexual abuse? Like, happened years ago. Stop talking about it. We don't want to think about it. Stop talking about it. And then the abuse, it felt like something I couldn't share, and other people had told me, don't say that, people won't want to work with you. So it was almost 6 degrees, as much as it's been the biggest gift to myself as well, because it's allowed me to become vulnerable and to test vulnerability. And oh, well, that was met, like, that was received really well. And oh, people didn't laugh at me or roll their eyes or shut their laptops when I spoke about domestic abuse, and people didn't shun me when I spoke publicly for the first time. Actually, I was met with support and love and more vulnerability. So each of the times that I have let my guard down, I have become, it's like this powerful glow. It's just like, it's pulsing through me.
Well, because you've given, by letting that guard down, that's the vulnerability piece for me, is revealing your true self.
Yeah.
Because when you let your guard down at top of the pod, you spoke about layers and layers on top of all the complexities, right? Well, those layers of complexities, once you start revealing yourself by picking up each piece of dirt and looking at it, accepting it and putting it down, and then you're allowing your actual innate light to shine,
Sure.
which it always is, but there is more choice, or conscious or unconscious choice, to layer, drink, food, distraction,
Yeah.
run away, da da da. So there's more attention on those things. Whereas when the attention is on your light, and you fan the flames of that and release layers of protective, now outdated stories, of course your light, you are here to shine brightly. But there was more attention on snuffing that from other people and through your own shame and the stories that you would then adopt to hide and run. So absolutely, I'm not surprised. I might get goosebumps just thinking about it. Your energy is off the wall. You're such a bright light, and I'm looking at your lovely face. And as an audio, it's sad that other people can't see that, but you are effervescent. You're attractive, and what I mean by beautiful, but I mean you are attracting other people to you, and that light is magnetic. That's what I mean by attractive. And in today's world that's seemingly dark, because it's not, it's just the experience of it is, I believe life is beautiful, and I believe it's people like you, and this is my journey and my calling too. It needs people like you to show up and share, because that's what you feel called to do. Because we need to learn the how. We need to know it's safe. We need to know it's okay. And unless we do that for ourselves first, we don't send out the invitation for other people to join us.
Absolutely. And one of our kind of key pillars at 6 degrees is we go first.
Yeah. Be the
So
trailblazer.
to,
Right.
to be the one to have the conversation, to say the thing, and even when I was thinking about burnout and, again, the masculine, how do I handle this? How do I position this? And then it was like, there's no handling, there's no positioning. You're going to tell your community
Yeah.
what's happening. And I was blown away. I had gifts sent to me. It's not about that, but like messages of support, emails, DMs, voice notes, things arriving. And it was like, wow. And then that made me think, oh my God, I've created this love. Like I've allowed this love into my life and I guess the acknowledgement was because I've given so much as well. And I was, and it was liberating to think I'm deserving of that.
Yes.
I'm deserving of that love. And I've never felt that way before because I've always been more comfortable in giving.
Yes.
Like I'd rather give a present than receive a present. I'd rather organize something than something be done for me. So that's definitely been, again, the community. I am growing and learning because of how the community responds and interacts
Love that.
with me. So it's like we're all growing together and it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. And giving is vulnerable, but it sounds like you gave your community the permission to hold their hands up and say, you know what, I might know how to choose consciously. And I also know that life can sometimes sweep me up, and it's done that. And here I am. So, and I think that is and I see it most in my days and my conversations, is when people are, including myself, when others are vulnerable, comfortable to be vulnerable, not knowing what response or reaction they will get, but they do it anyway. It is the most liberating. It's the most liberating thing. And I think it is the most human thing we can do for ourselves and others, is to allow somebody else to hold you. It's a big thing. I hold space for a lot of people, and it is also nice to be held. But I've got to give other people the opportunity to hold me.
Absolutely.
And it's that receiving, is that vulnerability. That was my greatest learning, is if everybody gave, then that's pointless. It's futile. And you just got to think of the Dead Sea for that, right? In Israel, that has water coming into it, but it doesn't have a stream to go out of it. So it's always consuming and collecting, and it has no life in it. There's no fish in it. And it's a weird feeling when you're in it, because you float and you're covered in a salt crust when you come out. It's a beautiful feeling when you're in it, but it's completely useless. It's futile and it's has no life. So actually, one of my greatest learnings back then in 2008 was, only when I receive can I keep that balance of harmony in my life. And receiving is hard. Receiving, not just, I find it okay to receive from other people, but to receive that power to turn in on myself is, for me, how I receive. Yeah, freaking hard.
Oh, and one of the biggest, I often refer to Dean as, my spirit, one of my guides. I truly believe he was put on this planet because the way that he shows up for me and our family and our blended family and my children in particular is an unwavering, consistent love of us, of all of us, of every part of us, of the messy bits, the good bits. And it was one of the hardest things to let him in because my wall was so high.
I can imagine.
And his sentence to me was, I will show up every single day and I will tell you every day that I love you and that I will hold you and that I'm here for you. And one day I hope that you will not that he's hoping I will surrender, but that I would finally
Surrender is a perfect word. Yeah. Because you've got to be open. Let go of your shit to receive him. That's surrender, right?
And I'm still learning because it's only 5 years and I've had a lifetime before of something else. So I guess the biggest message, Vanessa, that I ever want to spread is the trauma, the lived experiences that any human has experienced doesn't have to define who we are forever. Change is absolutely possible. Do we have to, is there a consciousness? Yes. Is there a consistency piece? Yes. Can it be painful? Yes. Can it be beautiful? Yes. Is it possible to reimagine your entire life 100%? That is the biggest message I want to spread to anybody, but in particular women, that it is possible to become a thriver and shake off the survivor title. And that's my legacy that I want to leave to women all over the planet, that's possible.
So it's about thriving, not surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah, evolving out of the survival mentality. And you've spoken about courage and resilience and receiving, and there are some powerful messages in this podcast. I want to thank you for finishing on such a powerful final thought, even without me having to ask you. You just summed it up so beautifully. May the universal light continue to shine in you. I'm getting emotional now. May it continue to shine in you, and may people be open to receiving your gift, because it's making our world a lot brighter.
And the same to you. We had such a gorgeous moment when we met. The energy, we just looked at each other and I was like, we're going to be mates. and the same. And for holding this space, you know, I am still new to being vulnerable. I'm still new to sharing. So to be held in such a gorgeous way and for you to lead it in the way that you have, thank you so much for inviting me, for doing it. So thank you so much, Vanessa.
It's my pleasure and it's an honour. God bless you, my lovely. I'll catch you soon. The invitation is to take a few moments to reflect on what's resonated with you here today. Let us know what you find. Share this episode with those you love to practice your vulnerability and enable deeper connection with self, others, and the world around you. May you feel blessed and loved as you live your days with purpose and presence. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing you. I love you.